Your family is so low class. I'm embarrassed to be seen with them, she said in the car after meeting them for dinner. I said, thanks for being honest. Then I stopped bringing her to any family event, saved my money, and focused on helping my parents instead. When she wondered why she wasn't invited to the next dinner, or to stay in my life, I, 29, male, had been dating Stephanie, 27, for 8 months when she met my parents for the first time. The dinner was at their home, a small 2-bedroom house in a working-class neighborhood where I grew up. My dad worked in maintenance for 30 years. My mom cleaned offices at night to help pay my college tuition. They raised 3 kids in that house, and every piece of furniture held a memory. Stephanie smiled through the evening. She complimented my mom's cooking. She laughed at my dad's stories. She posed for photos with my younger sister Emma. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But on the drive back to her apartment, 20 minutes after we left, she turned to me and said, "Your family is so low class. I'm embarrassed to be seen with them. That house, the furniture, the way they talk, it's just not my standard." I kept my eyes on the road. My hands stayed steady on the wheel. I let 5 seconds pass before I answered. "Thanks for being honest," I said. She nodded, satisfied, like she'd just given me helpful feedback about a restaurant. She didn't notice that I'd already made my decision. That night, sitting in my apartment after dropping her off, I opened my notes app and typed one line, "Never again." The next morning, my mom texted asking when Stephanie might come over again. I wrote back, "Her schedule's really busy right now. I'll let you know." I deleted 3 paragraphs I'd typed before that, paragraphs that explained what Stephanie had actually said. My parents didn't need to hear it. They'd spent their whole lives being looked down on by people who had more money and less character. I wasn't going to add one more name to that list. Stephanie and I met through mutual friends at a rooftop bar in the city. She worked in marketing for a tech startup. She wore expensive clothes, drove a leased BMW, and talked about her career like it was the most important thing happening in the world. I'm a project manager at a mid-sized construction firm. I make decent money, but I'm not flashy about it. For the first few months, we kept things light. Dinners, movies, weekend trips to wine country. She liked that I had my life together. I liked that she was confident and knew what she wanted. Or at least, I thought I did. The issue of meeting my family came up in month 6. Stephanie had introduced me to her parents twice already. Her dad was a corporate attorney. Her mom ran a boutique interior design business. Their house had marble countertops and a 3-car garage. Dinner at their place meant courses, wine pairings, and cloth napkins that probably cost more than my dad's work boots. When Stephanie asked when she'd meet my family, I hesitated. Not because I was ashamed, but because I knew the contrast would be sharp. My parents' house was clean, but it was old. The furniture was functional, not stylish. Dinner meant my mom's homemade casserole and iced tea in mismatched glasses. But I couldn't avoid it forever. So I picked a Saturday in late September and drove Stephanie 40 minutes south to the neighborhood where I grew up. My mom answered the door in her favorite cardigan, the one with a small tear near the hem that she'd sewn up twice. My dad shook Stephanie's hand with his calloused grip, the hands of a man who'd fixed broken pipes and painted walls for 3 decades. Emma, my 23-year-old sister, hugged Stephanie and complimented her purse, a designer bag that cost more than Emma's entire month's rent. Dinner was lasagna, garlic bread, and salad. My mom had set the table with the plates we'd used since I was in middle school. The conversation flowed easily. My dad told the story about the time I tried to build a treehouse and accidentally nailed my own shoe to the board. Emma talked about her new job as a teacher's aide. Stephanie smiled, nodded, asked polite questions. At one point, my mom showed Stephanie the photo wall in the hallway. Pictures of me and my siblings growing up. Holidays, birthdays, graduations. My mom pointed to one of me at age 7, missing my 2 front teeth, holding a trophy from a spelling bee. "He was always so determined," my mom said, her voice warm. Stephanie smiled. "That's sweet." But I saw it. The faint tightness around her eyes. The way she glanced at the frame, cheap plastic instead of wood. The way she looked at the carpet, worn thin in the center from years of foot traffic. When we said goodbye, my parents hugged her. My mom handed her a container of leftover lasagna. "For your lunches this week," she said. Stephanie thanked her. We walked to the car. I waved as we pulled out of the driveway. And then, 20 minutes down the highway, she said it. "Your family is so low class." The words landed flat, like she was commenting on the weather. She didn't even turn to look at me. She was scrolling through her phone, one hand resting on the armrest. I'm embarrassed to be seen with them. That house, the furniture, the way they talk, it's just not my standard. I didn't react. I kept my speed steady at 65. I didn't look at her. I focused on the white lines on the road, the taillights ahead of us, the sound of the tires on asphalt. She kept going. I mean, I know you came from humble beginnings or whatever, but you've moved past that. You have a career. You dress well. You have ambition. But your parents, they're still stuck in that world. And honestly, Brandon, it reflects on you. I let her finish. Then I said, thanks for being honest. She looked up from her phone, pleased. I just think it's important to be real with each other, you know? If we're going to build a future together, we need to be on the same page about these things. I nodded. Sure. We drove the rest of the way in silence. I pulled up to her apartment building, put the car in park. She leaned over to kiss me. I turned my head slightly, so her lips landed on my cheek instead of my mouth. Text me tomorrow, she said. Yeah, I said. She got out, carrying the lasagna container my mom had given her. I watched her walk into the lobby, her heels clicking on the tile. Then I drove home. At my apartment, I sat on the couch and stared at the wall for 20 minutes. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel hurt. I felt something colder. Clarity. Stephanie had shown me exactly who she was. She valued appearances over substance. She measured people by their furniture and their zip codes. And she thought my parents, the two people who sacrificed everything to give me a better life, were beneath her. I opened my phone and looked at my calendar. My parents' anniversary was in 2 weeks. I'd been planning to take Stephanie to the small party my sister was organizing. I deleted the event reminder that included her name. Then I opened my banking app. I'd been spending about $400 a month on Stephanie. Nice dinners, weekend trips. Her birthday gift last month had been $300 alone. I created a new savings goal, help mom and dad. I set the monthly target at $500. I didn't break up with her that night. That would have been loud, emotional, dramatic. Instead, I made a quieter decision. I would let Stephanie slowly discover that she no longer had access to the parts of my life that mattered most. Update 1. The next day, Stephanie texted me. Thanks for introducing me to your family. Your mom's lasagna is delicious. I replied, glad you liked it. She sent back a heart emoji. I didn't send one back. Over the next 2 weeks, I started making small changes. When Stephanie suggested dinner at an expensive steakhouse, I said I had a work deadline and suggested we order takeout instead. When she wanted to go wine tasting the following weekend, I told her I was helping my dad fix the gutters on their house. That part was true. I drove to my parents' place on Saturday morning with a ladder and a toolbox. My dad and I spent 4 hours clearing leaves, resealing joints, and replacing a section that had started to sag. My mom made us sandwiches for lunch. We ate them on the back porch. Where's Stephanie? My dad asked. She had plans, I said. My mom looked at me, her eyes thoughtful. She didn't push. She just nodded and handed me another sandwich. That afternoon, I transferred $600 to my parents' account with a note for the new water heater you mentioned. My dad called me that evening. Brandon, you didn't have to do this, he said. I wanted to, I said. You've done enough for me. Let me help. There was a pause. Then my dad said, thank you, son. Stephanie called me that night. You've been distant this week, she said. Is everything okay? Just busy with work, I said. We should plan something nice. Maybe that resort weekend we talked about. Maybe next month, I said. I'm trying to save a little right now. She laughed, confused. Since when do you worry about money? Since always, I said. I just spend it more carefully now. Okay, she said slowly. Well, let me know when you're free. Sure. The following week, my sister Emma called. She was engaged to her boyfriend Mark, a high school teacher. They were planning a small engagement party at my parents' house. Will you bring Stephanie? Emma asked. No, I said. Why not? Because she won't enjoy it. Emma was quiet for a moment. Did something happen? She's just not a good fit for our family, I said. That's all. Emma didn't push. She knew me well enough to know that I didn't make decisions like this lightly. Okay, she said. As long as you're good. I'm good. Over the next month, I kept Stephanie at a distance. I was polite when we saw each other. I didn't ignore her texts. But I stopped initiating plans. I stopped suggesting weekend trips. When she wanted to go out, I suggested coffee instead of dinner. When she brought up future plans, vacations, or events months away, I changed the subject. She noticed. Of course she noticed. Update 2. Are you losing interest in me? Stephanie asked one evening over drinks. We were at a wine bar she liked, the kind of place with Edison bulbs and reclaimed wood tables. Why would you think that? I asked. Because you're different. You don't plan dates anymore. You barely text me. Last month you couldn't wait to see me. Now I feel like I have to chase you down. I sipped my water. I've just had a lot going on. With what? Work, family, life. She leaned forward. Is this about money? Because if you're stressed about finances, we can talk about it. I make good money. I can cover more of our dates. It's not about money, I said. Then what is it? I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was beautiful, polished, successful. And she had no idea that she'd destroyed any future we might have had in a 20-minute car ride. It's about priorities, I said. Mine are shifting. Shifting where? Toward the people who matter. She blinked. I matter, don't I? You matter, I said. But not the way you think. She didn't understand. I didn't expect her to. She finished her wine, and we left. I dropped her off at her apartment and drove home. That night, I made another transfer to my parents. $700. This time for the roof repair they'd been putting off. Emma's engagement party was scheduled for the first Saturday in November. 2 weeks before the party, Stephanie asked me what time we needed to leave. Leave for what? I asked. Your sister's engagement party, she said. You told me it was coming up. I mentioned it, I said, but I didn't invite you. Her face went blank. What? The party is just for people who respect my family, I said. You don't qualify. She stared at me. Are you serious right now? Completely. Brandon, I met your family once. I was polite. I smiled. I ate your mom's food. I did everything right. You called them low class, I said. In the car. On the way back. You said you were embarrassed to be seen with them. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked away, her jaw tight. I didn't mean it like that. You meant it exactly like that. I was just being honest. You told me to always be honest with you. And I appreciated the honesty, I said. It showed me who you are. So now I'm being honest with you. You don't belong at my sister's party. You don't belong around my parents. And frankly, you don't belong in my life. Update 3. Stephanie didn't cry. She didn't yell. She stood there in my living room, arms crossed, looking at me like I'd just told her the sky was green. This is insane, she finally said. You're ending things because I made one comment? One honest observation. I'm ending things because that one comment told me everything I needed to know. Which is what? That you value the wrong things. That you judge people by their furniture and their job titles. That you'd be ashamed to build a life with someone whose parents don't live up to your standards. That's not fair, she said. It's completely fair, I said. You looked at the people who raised me, who sacrificed for me, who loved me unconditionally, and you found them lacking. That's not a relationship I want to be in. She shook her head. You're being ridiculous. Everyone has preferences. Everyone has standards. And mine include basic respect for the people I love. I never disrespected them to their faces, she said. That doesn't make it better, I said. That makes it worse. You smiled at them. You hugged them. You took their food. And then you trashed them the second we left. That's not honesty. That's cruelty. Her expression shifted. For a moment, I thought I saw something like recognition in her eyes. But then it hardened again. Fine, she said. If that's how you feel, then we're done. We've been done since that car ride, I said. I was just waiting for you to figure it out. She grabbed her purse and walked to the door. Then she turned back. You know what? You're going to regret this. You're going to look back and realize you threw away a great relationship over nothing. I'm throwing away a shallow relationship over something that matters, I said. And I don't have regrets about that. She left. The door clicked shut. I sat down on the couch and let out a long breath. My phone buzzed. It was Emma. Still coming to the party Saturday? Wouldn't miss it, I replied. She sent back a smiley face. Then another text. No, Stephanie. No, Stephanie, I confirmed. And there won't be. Ever. Good, Emma wrote. Mom and Dad don't need people like that in their lives. Neither do I typed back. Emma's engagement party was everything my parents' home always was. Warm, crowded, filled with laughter. My mom made her famous potato salad. My dad grilled burgers and hot dogs in the backyard. Mark's family brought desserts. Cousins, aunts, uncles, and close friends filled the house. I stood in the kitchen, helping my mom refill ice in the cooler when my dad came up beside me. Stephanie's not here, he said. It wasn't a question. No, I said. Is that permanent? Yeah. He nodded slowly. Good. I looked at him, surprised. You knew? Your mom and I aren't stupid, Brandon. We could see the way she looked at our house. At us. Like we were a problem she had to tolerate. Why didn't you say anything? Because you needed to figure it out on your own, he said. If we'd told you, you might have thought we were being unfair. But we knew you'd see it eventually. You're too smart not to. He clapped me on the shoulder. You deserve someone who sees value in the right places. Not in granite countertops and designer purses, but in the people who show up, who care, who work hard for the ones they love. My throat tightened. Thanks, Dad. Anytime, son. The party went late. Emma and Mark cut a cake. My mom cried happy tears. I sat on the back porch with my dad and a few uncles, talking about nothing and everything. At one point, I checked my phone. Stephanie had texted me twice. First message, I hope you're happy. Second message, you're making a huge mistake. I didn't reply. I put my phone away and went back inside. 3 months later, I was at a coffee shop near my office when I saw Stephanie. She was with a man in an expensive suit, both of them laughing over lattes. She looked up, saw me, and her smile faltered. I nodded once, a polite acknowledgement, and turned back to my laptop. She didn't come over. I didn't expect her to. That evening, I had dinner at my parents' house. Just the four of us, me, Emma, Mom, and Dad. We ate spaghetti at the old table, the one with the scratched surface and the wobbly leg my dad kept meaning to fix but never did. After dinner, my mom handed me a folder. Inside were receipts. The new water heater. The roof repairs. The fresh paint on the garage. A list of everything I'd helped them with over the past 6 months. You've given us so much, she said. We wanted you to see where it went. I looked at the numbers. Over $4,000. Money I would have spent on someone who didn't value the people who mattered most. I'd do it again, I said. My dad reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We know. A year after I ended things with Stephanie, I met someone new. Her name was Rachel. She was a nurse at the county hospital. She drove a 10-year-old Honda. She wore scrubs to work and jeans on weekends. She didn't care about designer labels or status symbols. The first time I took her to meet my parents, she showed up with flowers for my mom and a 6-pack of my dad's favorite beer. She sat at the old table, ate my mom's casserole, and asked my dad about his work. She looked at the photo wall and smiled at the picture of me with missing teeth. You were adorable, she said. When we left, she hugged my parents goodbye. In the car, she turned to me and said, Your family is wonderful. They are, I said. Thank you for introducing me, she said. I looked at her, and I felt something I hadn't felt with Stephanie. Peace. Thank you for seeing them the way I do, I said. She smiled. How could I not? 6 months later, Rachel and I got engaged. The proposal happened in my parents' backyard, the same backyard where Emma's engagement party had been. My mom cried. My dad shook my hand, and then pulled me into a hug. Emma screamed and hugged Rachel. We planned a small wedding. Nothing fancy, just family and close friends. The reception was at a community hall my parents had rented. My mom made the centerpieces. My dad walked Rachel down the aisle because her own father had passed years before. During the reception, I stood to give a toast. I looked at my parents, at Emma and Mark, at Rachel's family, at the people who'd shown up for us. Some people measure success by the size of their house or the price of their car, I said. But I learned a long time ago that real success is measured by the people who stand beside you. The ones who show up. The ones who care. The ones who see value in what matters. I raised my glass. To the people who taught me that lesson. And to the person who lives it every day. Everyone cheered. Rachel kissed me. My mom wiped her eyes. Later that night, as Rachel and I drove away from the reception, she reached over and took my hand. I heard about Stephanie, she said quietly. Emma told me. I glanced at her. And I'm glad you chose your family over someone who didn't respect them. It wasn't even a choice, I said. It was obvious. She smiled. That's why I love you. I smiled back. That's why I love you too. We drove in silence for a few minutes. Then Rachel said, Your parents asked me if we'd come over next weekend. Your mom wants to teach me her lasagna recipe. What did you say? I said yes. Obviously. I squeezed her hand. And I thought about Stephanie, wherever she was, with whoever she'd ended up with. I hoped she'd found someone who matched her standards. Someone who valued the same things she did. As for me, I'd found something better. I'd found someone who saw the same value I did in a worn table, a small house, and two people who'd given everything to raise their kids right. Some rings start wars. Some relationships end over insults. But the best ones, the ones that last, are built on respect. And I wasn't willing to settle for anything less.